there is, of course, a latest threat, a fresh threat that has been issued by Donald Trump after Washington's deadline for Hormuz has passed. And this is the Truth Social post that Donald Trump has posted. I quote him, "Iran's navy is laying at the bottom of the sea, completely obliterated 158 ships. What we have not hit are their small number of what they call fast attack ships because we did not consider them much of a threat. Warning, if any of these ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated." That is the latest post by Donald Trump, the US president, as the deadline of the Strait of Hormuz that he had given to Iran has now passed. And of course, the US military is now blockading that particular strait. The US president's threat, remember, comes half an hour after the deadline set by him had passed. Trump had announced a blockade of the strategic Hormuz Strait after the weekend peace talks with Tehran ended without an agreement. Remember, the US military had announced over the weekend that it will begin blockading all Iranian Gulf ports, but will allow ships not coming or going to Iran to pass through the strait. Now, of course, Donald Trump saying that Iranian Navy has been completely obliterated. Let me quickly go across to Susan Tehrani, our correspondent joining us from New York at the moment, and get in a word from her. Susan, this is the latest threat, of course, coming in half an hour, 30 minutes after Donald Trump's deadline for the Strait of Hormuz in Iran has passed, of course, now saying that Iran's navy has been completely obliterated. What more are you picking up on the US blockade in the strait?
Right. What we're picking up right now is a very clear escalation in the U.S. posture, for sure. The U.S. has effectively now begun enforcing a naval blockade, targeting ships going to and from Iranian ports, and President Trump is signaling zero tolerance for any Iranian naval response. As you mentioned, his latest message, he says much of Iran's navy has already been destroyed and warns that any remaining fast attack boats approaching the blockade will be immediately eliminated. Someone compared to what the Trump administration has been doing with those small drug vessels in southern America that they've been, trying to eliminate. So the message from Washington appears to be deterrence, essentially telling Iran not to test the blockade. But the key question now is whether Iran's smaller Navy units or proxies, even the Houthis, attempt to challenge it. The Houthis, I mean, in the Red Sea, and Iran threatening to close Bab al-Mandeb, because that's where the risk of direct confrontation in the Strait of Hormuz and in that region particular would come from at this point.
Right, Susan, thanks very much for joining us with more information. It's almost halfway through this fragile truce, and there's already an escalation after those peace negotiations in Pakistan failed. Now, of course, the entire focus is on the Strait of Hormuz. Let's wait and see how Iran now responds to this fresh threat by Donald Trump.